Okay, here we go. This is After Party 23. 23.
2-3, baby.
That's right. We're going to talk about session 69. He knows a lot.
Ooh, what?
69, yeah. 70, Text and Tats. 71, Humble Abode.
Aww.
I struggled with the names for these three.
He knows a lot.
You for the life of none of you could figure out what that's referring to?
I got to remember what the episode was.
He knows a lot.
Are you fucking kidding me?
That starts off.
I think
I honestly don't know what it's referring to.
It has to do with Shaft, right?
No, it refers to the cultist that you had captured. Sitting there listening to your 20-minute
I've got that written down here.
And we were like,
I got that written down to
knows a
talk
lot.
about. Yeah, I said he listened in on the conversation about the Tritons, the Deep Scions, the Paladins, the Kraken. He knows about everything.
And then we handed him over.
Yeah, I made the note that we keep talking in front of people who we shouldn't be talking in front of.
Yeah, we should have learned that lesson after Chucky, right?
He's definitely telling the elders what's up.
Oh, wow. That's an old lesson that, Falzern and Shaft should have learned forever ago.
We're going to run into the elders and we're going to be like, how'd you know that? And they're going to be like, the cultist that you captured. Hello.
Okay, Text and Tats.
Oh, I mean, that's all right.
Well, that one's self-explanatory.
The tats, what's the text?
Text was us in the library, dude.
The text is all the books you guys are reading.
Got it,
Sorry,
got
I
it.
was thinking phone text, and I'm like, we don't have cell phones.
Such a millennial.
Never been called that.
You're not a millennial.
I know. Very aware. You guys made me very aware of that earlier today.
Okay, boomer.
Okay, boomer. It's going to be like that.
I don't think Emma's old enough to be a boomer.
I don't think
Not even
I don't
close.
think John is either, technically.
I don't even
No,
know what
you're
age a boomer
close.
is, but I don't think you're old
Our
enough to be it.
parents are boomers, Bill.
My brother made it.
I'm not old enough to be your parents.
Oh, man.
Eh,
I mean,
Not
maybe.
quite.
No, anyway.
Moving right along.
What generation are you, Emily?
X.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
All right. Last one, Humble Abode. I can only assume that's the 2-story, 2-bedroom
Not so
Humble
humble.
Abode.
With the warm ale
extra
and
bedrooms.
the fermented cheese.
I called it that right in the episode.
Yeah,
My humble
very
abode.
nice.
Yes, but of course, Falzern is, in a more general sense, home.
Well, true.
Yes.
Okay, take it away. Falzern, you got the notes. I've got a few things down, but
I do
I'll
have
let you,
some notes, but I'm known to have severely terminal case of short-term memory loss.
Yeah, you almost forgot what that was called.
I did. I couldn't think of what the word was. So in 69, that's where we arrive on Heracleon, if I'm not mistaken. We get up into Port Heracleon, which I don't know if it was in 69 or 70, but whichever it was, I apologize that I referred to it as Port Randus at least a couple times.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, we did not go to Port Randus. We went to Port Heracleon. So we arrive on the docks.
It starts with the tossing over of bodies and Shakara
Yeah, you
picking
clean up the ship a little
that's
bit.
right.
picking up Danzig
Yes.
and
Yeah.
dropping him on
Can
the
we
poop
just
deck. And
say, I just want to point out, Danzig is transforming into something which is not going to be a good thing.
yeah, we know.
So why didn't you kill him?
Nothing good is going to come from this, and I wish I had killed him, and then Shaft would have not had a decision to make. It would have been done, and we wouldn't have to worry about it. Now we have this thing somewhere in a barrel
Yeah.
that's going to metamorphosize and become something massively more powerful that we won't be able to defeat again.
I think you made the right decision, because I think we'd have one less character to we'd be talking. We'd be introducing a new character.
Yeah, Shaft would leave, I think, if you killed him.
I
No,
think he's
Shaft
saying he
wouldn't
would have killed
leave.
me.
Somebody
He would
would
try
be
to kill
dead.
me, and I would have
You,
killed him.
wait, hold on. You think
I would have
Shaft...
taken him
I was
down.
going to say, you think Shaft versus Shakara, you'd take her.
Well, he didn't say who would be rolling a new character. I just think somebody would be dead.
I didn't say that, and I also didn't say necessarily that he would be taking her on one-on-one either, or that he'd be fighting her right then. Shaft is not necessarily the kind of guy you want to.
Ooh, you're gonna poison her. I see how
have
this
on
is.
your bad side. There's all kinds of things that could happen.
Hey, there's lots of stuff that's going to be happening in the future here. Who knows what turning points could have happened?
Yeah,
Boy,
you never
that
know.
would. Oh man, I'm just now going through alternate timelines and things that listener hasn't heard.
This is the darkest timeline.
Oh my goodness, my brain is spiraling now.
But I also don't think she would just kill him right there either. Right in the barrel. I just don't think that would be something that you.
It's like shooting Danzig in a barrel, you know.
I would also advise the four of you maybe to go back and listen to all of the times that you were interacting with the barrel and some of the descriptions that I gave. There might have been a bit of information that probably good if you all were aware of. You might get a better sense of what exactly is kind of going on with it, but it's just one of many things that get lost in the details, really.
Yes, I'm remembering now. You mentioned that he was in like a briny water, so I think probably he's turning into like a feta cheese.
Oh, definitely.
Yes, he is becoming the crumble for a great Greek salad.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And nobody wants to mess with that.
You know, when I originally thought in Falzarin's backstory of the island of Heracleon, I was inspired by Greece. So it's coming full circle.
There you go.
There you go.
Well, I mean, Heracleon was the invention. Its members invented the shepherd's pie with feta cheese.
Yes, quite right.
It's very
I'm glad you pointed that
Athenian
out.
in the fact that the knowledge centers in the center. I picture this like pantheon type build. You know what I mean? So I see what you're saying. Where were we with the summary again?
Yeah, I apologize. I was skipping some things. Yeah, we started out with us trying to hastily clean up the evidence of all of this
Massacre.
fighting and killing of all these bad guys on the ship. So we hurled them over the edge. Shakira
Oh gosh,
went.
Bill.
Sorry, that was accidentally.
I
was
wrote down
accidental.
here she, and I wrote the word car, and then an A at the end, so I'll
Yeah.
say it right.
Shikara went down along with Falsey. They took a peek in the barrel, and Shikara was intent on taking some action with this Danzig in the barrel, and so she ended up pulling him out. To which Shaft objected, obviously, to anything being done to him.
I think I handled that quite well, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, because you didn't agree with me that he needs to not be in the barrel where we need to stop this process of him changing.
There are several things in these episodes where Shakara to me was very young, which I originally mistook as being kind of gozery chaotic, but it actually was like, she's young. She's just like, this is weird, pick him up. Like, I'm in the library. I'm tired. Are there coloring books? You know, just like there's some youngness to Shakara in these episodes. I found it entertaining.
How old is Shikara again? She's
15.
only in her teens, yeah.
She's adult for a dragonborn. She said that
Right.
a million times, just like you can swim fast
Yeah,
and
but-
hold your breath. Real-
I don't think I said it as many times as he said that.
Well, I don't know. I think Emily was just making sure that a love connection between Shakara and Grimby is not
Ooh.
pedophilic.
Ooh, all right.
Yes, we need to protect the christening.
So we get to
Have a crush.
we get to land. We say a bunch of stuff in front of this guy. He knows so much.
That's true.
He knows too much.
But I just wanted one last thing about the interaction on the boat is that again we have this thing that's coming through role play, this division in the party. Falzarin was immediately, Shaft's not gonna like that. You shouldn't do that, Shakara. Like very clearly on Shaft's side of this,
Yeah.
without really taking a side, but he kind of leaned.
yeah.
I mean, I thought in the episode you definitely gave me an opportunity to make a perception check to notice they were gone and be able to go down and take care of this. And I intentionally said, have I had enough time to dump all the bodies?
Right.
Because I wanted to see how it played out.
Yeah.
Right? If Shakara stabbed him and killed him, then we would have probably had a different session. But Falzarin did come to, I think, made the right choice and tried to talk her out of it. And I think there is definitely becoming a division between the group as a whole. And I think it would naturally be that way too.
There's going to be perfect cohesion from here on out.
I'm just
Yeah.
the divisions will potentially
That's why we're so
change.
excited about the next episodes. We all get along arm in arm and fight the bad guy, and it's amazing. You should see.
Well, the next series of episodes. I mean, there's it's incredibly role play heavy. Like it's all
They're giving Leland gray hairs. Like Leland is gonna have gray hair by the time he's done editing all the different off the mic, on the mic situations.
yeah. Well, I mean that's going to be a listening nightmare for the four of you, quite honestly, more than anything.
I can't wait for it though, because these next episodes are.
Yeah, and obviously
brilliant.
I don't want to go on about future episodes again in an after party like we did last time.
March
But I'm
Madness
just saying,
money.
like it's very clear that, and I would say even more so now in chapter 2, that our show is incredibly role play heavy, which obviously I love because that's my DM style. I mean, I think that's pretty clear by now that I may shy away from orchestrating or injecting combat into some of our sessions.
You're not gonna instigate if it doesn't make sense in the story.
Well, yeah, and I guess that's probably selfish on my part, but I don't care. But I'm just like, we're in Heracleon's a very cool place.
Well, I mean, no one likes those movies where all of a sudden you're like, why are we in a car chase? They're just adding it in there. Like, you're not just adding combat in there to add combat in there.
Yeah. That's a fair assessment for sure. But there's lots of catalysts that now we're really starting to see how these two newcomers in Shakara and Mia are starting to get along with or not get along with each other, between the two of them, and of course with Shaft and Falzarin, and of course some of the outside catalysts in which shape and mold those relationships, or what's the fun? That's the fun, right? That's the fun part.
I think, intentionally, I think the good part is, if you notice, Shaft is always sort of grabbing onto Falzarin's cape and pulling him down and whispering things to him. After what the two of them have been through, trusting anyone else is going to be really difficult, even the other two, let alone after, the whole Brindle thing and all that. So Shaft is confiding a lot more into Falzarin and almost trying to teach him some things, I believe, like, hey, did you see what just happened there? Do you really think you can trust anybody in this town? Do you really think you can? Maybe we need to be really careful about who we say what to.
Maybe you should get your tattoo in your lower back,
Well, that's, of course, a good suggestion.
Well, and I certainly think that the greatest influence in the campaign so far on Falzarin's character has been Shaft.
Yeah, I agree. He's the person that has been around him the longest in this campaign.
Yeah, and that literally might just be why. Like, that could just be default. Yeah. Shaft's been around longest. But I don't know.
Well, he also sort of accepts him, right? Like, I don't care if you're really making a good decision or a bad decision here. I don't think he ever really judges him.
Sure, you want to bang Izzy, have at her. But
Oh my gosh.
And I mean, they've been through a lot. They've been through a lot of life or death situations where they've had each other's backs. There's something to be said for that. Like you bond with people when you've been through incredibly harrowing and stressful situations like that.
Compared to other situations, though, don't you think that Shaft is not necessarily benefiting by being friends with Falzarin? Like, he appreciates the friendships and calls people friends that are like, wink, wink, I can hook you up, you can hook me up.
He's not benefited from being in this group at all.
Exactly. That's
No.
why the word friend is
Shaft.
an interesting concept.
Poor Shaft just wants to finish the friggin' job, look after these towers, but he keeps getting dragged along here and there.
Keeps getting the shaft.
He sure does.
That's right.
He's supposed to be giving others the shaft.
We learned a lot more about where his little nickname came
Oh,
about.
I love that. It was so cute.
Knowing a little bit more about the backstory, does it make a little bit more sense as to what's happening now to you guys as players?
Well, what did we really learn from that? From what we did here, which was you getting beat up and being like, I don't care, I'm just gonna...
No, I think the previous backstory, Shaft, I think you found out that, Danzig was asking for help. There's more to it than just he could be turning into something else.
What I as
Doesn't
Elena
matter.
learned is
Danzig's
different.
dead.
Yeah. Well, see, our characters don't know that backstory, John. So, like, as a listener, I have learned that
That's what I'm
as
saying.
a listener, I've learned Shaft can care about people. For instance, Nina and Danzig, and there are things that motivate him that are not just money and selfish, right?
Right. But you as players know that. As characters, you don't. Does it make more sense as a listener?
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
What do you think about Shaft's character, Em?
What does Emily think about it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it tugs on the heartstrings. The fact that that he was somewhat of a happy person before all that started, and his brother died, and his friend died, and his girl left him.
And then he's like, I got nothing to live for. Like, that's sad.
Yeah, and he just gave up till John Wayne saved him.
That's right. Okay, maybe we're jumping around.
When John doesn't do the summaries, we're just lost. I mean, we need you.
We got plenty of John Wayne talk.
The problem
later.
is I said that I made notes about the episodes, which is misinterpreted as that I made summaries of the episodes.
He did not make summaries of the episode.
I did not make summaries of the episodes, and as has been demonstrated numerous times, I have no short-term memory.
I will tell you right now, 69 ends with us turning the guy in and you guys going to the bar. And you go to the bathroom together and
Yeah.
everyone's like, what?
And you go to the bathroom and you make a new friend.
We sure do.
That's right.
And another highlight from 69, of course, was the interaction on the dock.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, that was, oh wow, that took me by surprise.
Did it, though? It
Which
didn't
part?
surprise me.
Well, what's his name?
Alstoff. Yep.
Alsop Timmerman being involved somehow in manufacturing these mechanical beasts, at least that's what we can assume, for the Paladins of Cultus, and a Deep Scion being in his employ, whether he knows about it or not, who knows. That was a big bombshell for me.
Okay, I guess the bombshell was the metal animals to me. But the Scion didn't. I was like, yeah, of course there's...
I think it probably would have been more suspicious there not being a Scion in port.
Well, that was actually something I wanted to ask the four of you, because I felt so that this was it was a narrative choice that I made, and I thought that it would be more interesting and promote more role playing if it was confirmed for the four of you, the characters, that there are other Scions already here in Heracleon, versus, okay, how do we confirm that there are other Scions here in
for
Heracleon?
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm glad you did it.
Instantly,
I agree.
no one can be trusted. Infiltration
Yeah.
could be how far up. Yeah. For sure.
Right.
Yeah, I think that was great, because it sows so much suspicion and doubt about who can be trusted on Heracleon. Because I maybe had some vague suspicions that, who knows who's bad and good in Heracleon amongst the elders, etc. But now there's confirmed Deep Scion on the island, likely more of them, and you have this operation operating out of the port that has to do with the Paladins of Cultus. So that's super sketch.
And they're not all, it's not like the docks were just filled with Scions either, because a lot of people were shocked when they
Right.
saw the transformation. So it lets you know that it's there, but it's not rampant, at least as far as we
John
know.
was listening. Ooh. I just smile and nod as if I made that observation too. Yeah.
Yeah, just because I listen doesn't mean I always remember. or remember correctly.
I do think there was some shock. I'm remembering that. Yeah.
So then we almost let our prisoner escape.
Yeah, that was fun.
Oh, yeah, that was funny. We all just, the five of us forgot about him for a second.
Yeah. And then spilled all sorts of secrets while he's standing directly beside us.
Oh, for sure.
That is the problem with theater of the mind.
Yeah, totally right.
It's very easy to forget who's around.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was interesting. I don't know if we talked about it. Actually, I don't remember it in the episode, but did we say what are you going to tell the guards when you turn this guy in?
Yeah, we did talk about that, and basically it came down to Mia making a successful performance check to convince the guard that we're the good guys and this guy's the bad guy.
It's kind of a little metagamey, but as Mia, my persuasion is on point. It's so good that I'm like, I can persuade anybody. I'm so charismatic, blah, blah, blah. So I didn't even feel like I had to say anything great. If I'm going to do a check, I'm going to get a high, like I have a +7.
Well, don't think that I won't take into consideration that you make a shit point. If you're like, do this just because and roll me a 27 persuasion, I don't give a fuck how high you roll. We just spent 10 minutes waxing poetical about how I love role-playing and how I run my campaigns. If you haven't fucking included that,
I didn't necessarily say just because, but I didn't say, like, anything great and profound, right? It was just like, you should trust me. I mean, look at me. And it was like, 20. Which you can make things more challenging. And, I mean, I wouldn't blame you if you did, because you know my persuasion is +7.
Sure. But, I mean, again, is that the DM then metagaming? But it was a combination between your persuasion and his crap deception as well.
Yeah.
There were two sides to that coin in that situation. So keep that in mind as well.
But yeah, I if I were DMing, I would certainly take into account the substance of what is said, not just the roll. You know, it shouldn't just be the die that determines whether you're persuasive or not. You actually have to say something of substance as well, I think.
Well, I mean, we are producing a podcast, so ideally.
But you know what I mean? Like if you say...
I do know what you mean. Yes.
It can be hard on the spot. So, I mean, if next time I'm
sure.
like, okay, time out, take a minute, and it's edited together, I could maybe come up with something more convincing than on the spot.
What you did say wasn't not convincing either. Like,
no, it was just kind of humdrum, though. It wasn't, like, fantastic. It wasn't inspirational.
But Mia and Shakara both probably look like official-looking, upstanding people, right? You've got shining armor on.
Exactly. You should trust me.
Well, that was my point. You're the guard standing there, and these two people come in, a dragonborn, come in and dragging this little wimpy guy and go, this guy tried to kill us.
This chick that looks like she does CrossFit carrying a hammer. And, like, the guard looks at her, and when you did, like, we both told our sides, and then when you look at us, I pictured me smiling and being like, in cartoons, your teeth kind of gleam, and it's like, ching! And then, like, you look over at the cultist, and he smiles, and his teeth are, like, dark and black and gross, like he's never brushed them before, and you're like, I'm gonna believe her. What's your information?
And what's the motivation for why we would be peddling that story? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense why.
Yeah. At least, the guard you spoke to wasn't a complete idiot, at least.
Well, if we were like, he's stowed away on our boat, it's like, that was not our boat. Like, there's some things that didn't make sense to say.
Well, yeah, I think if you had tried to lie to him, you could have ended up in hotter water than you were already in, walking in with a bound dude who looks like every other guy walking around this fucking city.
Yeah.
Get that crap beat out of him. And
yeah, bleeding, one eye swollen shut.
He had a few bumps on his head, I think, from the hammer.
Yeah. A couple cracked teeth when you rammed him with the jaw on the boat there, too, in front of the controls.
Oops. Sorry. So then the tattoos. So then
that was pretty much the end of 69, eh?
That's what she
Everyone
said.
was satisfied after the 69.
Oh, wow.
So, Session 70, Text and Tats. That starts off with Shaft and I back in the
Bathroom.
creepy aura.
Ooh, yeah.
So Shaft is able to do what he does best and have a very audible conversation about how we might be in the market for some magical wares. And we find ourselves back into kind of a shady bathroom.
mm-hmm.
And we meet Tenchi, who brings us down kind of through like a secret stone passageway. I think it kind of opened up somehow and led. It was downstairs, right, Leland?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it led down into this little underground shop that he's got.
And you didn't do an insight roll before you went down the creepy stairs and the creepy
did
door.
not.
They didn't even care. It's hilarious.
We did not.
I love it.
Shaft did look around because he was suspicious about maybe a nefarious character being there waiting to take advantage of us or something. I'm not sure exactly what he was looking for, but
Probably guards, people that would be on the side of law, stopping him from this illegal transaction.
Yeah, you never know what kind of thing you're going to run into when you're going down in a back staircase behind a porta potty.
But you also both just said, huh, and kept walking.
yeah.
Yeah.
So then we took a look at what was for sale.
Yeah, and falls in shit over everything that was there.
I have that written
As
down.
usual.
That's
Fucking
one of the
usual.
notes that I have.
Jesus Christ.
That mirror was pretty cool.
Yeah, I like it.
It was just not functionally. I mean, even Leland said you could tie somebody down, or he even
Kill 'em.
mentioned they could be dead already.
Yeah, you just kill him
and
first.
still
that's
be
all.
able to take their.
If we could only find Erica's body.
I think if we had a different party composition,
Yeah.
if there were
Yeah.
maybe a few other. If Gozer and Bryn were still around, I think that mirror probably could have come in a little more handy than.
Yeah.
Totally would have gotten it.
Yeah, but
Mia could
then you
grapple
threw
someone.
that in the tramp stamp, and I couldn't resist getting it on Falzer.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you can't. I only have so much money, Leland.
So the magic tattoos were one of dozens of magical item listener entries that I combed through and carefully curated and tossed out the trash and picked this one from Jess from
So if yours
ages
wasn't
ago.
picked, Leland thinks you're trash.
It was trash, yeah. Like I don't even know how long, like months ago, literal months ago, she sent this. Like whatever, I think it was like after party like 6.
It was
Bill's
literally
like,
forever ago.
please send us magic item things.
And then the wizard scoffs at the magical items as usual.
Yep. So yeah, she concepted the beast summing of the tattoo, and I just flavored it up a little bit.
Hey, I'm
So thanks,
I'm
Jeff.
sorry that you don't want to give me lots of scrolls of Dimension Door or things like that. I can't help it if you're not.
Well,
gonna
if
summon
you
those
actually
things.
visited an actual shop and looked for some scrolls, you'd be able to find them.
That's what I
Every
thought I
time
was
you've been
doing.
in magic, you haven't asked for a single scroll.
That's true. I finally wisened up to what I really should be asking for. I'm in the
Obviously.
wrong place. So there was the Mirror of Metamorphosis, which was a very cool magic item actually, but I think like it's already been mentioned, it might be a bit challenging to use with our current party composition.
Well, I mean that was also me balancing it too, right? How overpowered would that be if you could just capture someone's image for a second and be able to polymorph into them?
Yeah. You would have made it more in the line of 30 seconds that I
Oh,
might have.
yeah. If
might
it
have went
wasn't
for
10 minutes.
Yeah, see, well,
Get
I could
on
have,
it.
but it was more. It's a ritual, right? So that's why I went with the 10
Right.
minutes.
No, it makes sense.
Now, this bag of beans, there was the bag of beans and then there was a bag of holding quote.
Yeah,
We'll get to that. What were the bag of beans?
it was a bag of beans.
But they're magical beans, were they not?
Random magic.
So what do they do? Do we know? Do you want to tell us what they do? Or
When
is
you
that
plant the bean that I hope you don't forget you have for the future, then I will randomly roll on a table and something will happen.
A big
Okay.
beanstalk will start growing, and you
That'll
never
be
know
fun.
what you'll find.
Maybe. I think that actually is one of the things. Like a beanstalk could come up, a whole pyramid with a mummy lord in it could appear, a bullet could appear, a bunch of wealth can appear,
Ooh,
a
let's do
great big
that one.
supper thing, a feast could appear.
Ooh, let's do that one.
Who knows?
Cool. And then this bag of holding that you described as looking different than my bag of holding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holds
That was-
forever.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that was a little tough for John versus Shaft, but I did have a thing in my mind that Shaft will have come upon some of these things in his past to some degree, so I wanted to test it. But being the way that he described how it worked, I was fully bought in it was another bag of holding, and if it was at the right price, I was going to buy it. But once again, $6.50 was outside of the money. Then the tramp stamp thing, of course, and some other stuff came up, and then he even lowered it down to below actual price.
Yeah, he would have given it to you for $4.50. Yeah.
Yeah, and I almost did it then. But then I also knew I needed some spending money in town.
Can you explain what you think it was?
A bag of devouring
Yeah.
is what John thought.
So what
it
does a
was.
bag of devouring do?
Exactly what it
Yeah,
says.
it functions very similar to a bag of holding. If you reach inside of it, it has a 50% chance of pulling you in. And if you, I think as you start your turn inside of it, you get eaten.
That's it. Straight up gone.
Yeah, and if you put inanimate items in it, the following day it barfs them up in a random plane or somewhere random of my choice.
Something like that.
So yeah, if you stored anything in it the next morning, it would be gone. Who knows
Not
where.
helpful in any way. Interesting.
No, but since he
Would have been helpful for
distinctly
Bryn.
said that it had teeth is what made the difference. If he
Yep.
didn't say that in his description, it would have been all in on that.
Why would it have been helpful for Bryn, Emily?
Hide the bodies.
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to think of a way that bag of devouring would be beneficial
Kill
to you.
someone and drag them in the bag?
Yeah, if you're an assassin, you can get rid of your
Yep.
victims.
Yeah, we could be throwing all those people we killed on the deck into that rather than over the side, which they might reanimate by some other magical.
If Shaft
That's
could convince
actually-
Mia that the guy, like, let's say I grapple someone not to kill them, and you're like, we'll just put them in the bag and take them out later. Like, you could convince her to do it. Like, she wouldn't know.
A bag of devouring serves as a mouth for an interdimensional monster that eats. That's basically what it is.
Ooh.
So we could put the Kraken in it.
You wouldn't be able to fit the Kraken in it.
We could put him a little bit at a time.
Chop off the tail, chop off his arm.
One tentacle at a time.
It's a delicacy.
So Shaft convinced, and I actually, listening back, I felt bad because I did really poo-poo
You
the
totally
tattoos.
did.
And afterwards I realized they're actually quite cool. And I'm excited about having them.
Yeah, and I think I've mentioned in one of our future play sessions, I am officially right now retconning their duration. They will last a full hour instead of just whatever I think I said 10 minutes.
You did say 10 minutes.
They now last officially they're going to last for an hour.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Nice.
Because I think that promotes more uses other than just combat uses for those beasts, especially the like lower challenge rating ones.
That's sort of what I had in mind when I think that came out a little bit in the episode, is that I was interested in having kind of like a find familiar where you could use them as a scout.
they don't function like a familiar though.
Right.
Which we made clear in the episode, but they will. The summon creatures they do last for an hour now, not 10 minutes.
Okay.
I mean, personally, I pride myself in the fact that Mia asked if his tattoo was a turd. But
Yeah, which I was upset about, quite frankly, because Leland had just described how intricate and
Yeah, so that canon was Mia being a bitch.
yeah.
exactly.
Two falls of it.
I kind of loved that it was like one of the first shades I ever threw as Mia, where I was like, is that a turd on your lower back?
Unbelievable.
Well, because I thought, it's
Very
your lower
judgy.
back. How well can you really turn around and see it? So, like, I could convince you that, it's kind of like when
Very
you get
true.
something written in a different language, Chinese or whatever, and you're like, you think it says, like, serenity,
Yeah.
and then you find out
It could be a
says-
character for
yeah.
anything, yeah.
What does it really say? It's like, I'm an idiot.
Falzarin does Pilates, so he's more than capable of seeing his lower back.
He would frickin' do Pilates. He would.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a wizard, you need to be one with your mind and your inner being.
You didn't describe, like, the Pilates setup at your humble abode. Like,
Well, that's what the second bedroom's for.
that's what the second bedroom's
There's a
for. There's like
local-
a
no,
swing
no.
and
There's- There's a local gym that he has a membership to.
Local wizard gym.
It's barely staying in business.
Well, yeah,
a
right.
couple mats.
Well, being dexterous in D&D is overpowered, so that does it is smart that you
Yeah.
like half the skills have to do with dex, for God's
The
sake.
Pilates
So.
help him 0 with his initiative.
Well, he's very bad at it. So
He pays every month, but doesn't go very often. The gym loves him as a member.
Yeah, something tells me these tattoos are going to come in handy like this. Oh, crap. We should have used the tattoos.
That sounds exactly like us.
Oh crap! We should have
yeah.
we should have looked in the back of the library.
It's like every other magic item Leland has given me that I promptly forget I own.
Now, did you describe how they work?
Yeah.
I actually don't recall if I think I haven't written down for sure. I don't know if I
don't
actually
think
told
you specifically said
how
how
you
we summon
activate it. You summon with a bonus action. That's basically if it was in combat, it would just be a bonus action to summon it.
Barry.
You just
And
flick him off. John's
Rub
flicking
it. You got to rub it. You're going to have to rub it. That'd be the only way to do it.
I can see Shaft like rubbing and just giving a little kiss to the biceps. Barry, go get him.
Yeah.
Well, should one of you ever activate it, you'll see when I describe how it looks and how it feels.
Will Barry sound effects be included?
I was going to say, I sincerely hope.
I never said that was Barry the Badger. I mean, it's just a badger.
Well,
All
can
badgers
you make
sound
badger
differently.
sound effects?
You can't just replicate Barry. I feel like that would be an insult to his memory.
Yeah.
And an insult to the new Badger since Barry
There
was
it
such
is.
crap.
There it is.
You have to shake your head when you do it. So yeah, Shaft got a badger with a B underneath it.
A badger
What
with
else
a
did
B.
you get,
I thought
Shaft?
you were just spelling it. Badger with a B.
Did you get a hornet? Oh no, you got a raven.
Raven.
I got a swarm of ravens.
Swarm of ravens.
You got the stinger.
Falsey got the giant wasp on his arm after he saw Shaft get one on his arm, and the giant shark on his lower back.
Yeah. I can't believe you didn't get the killer whale, dude.
I thought about it, but I think the giant shark was a higher.
The giant
challenge
shark
rating.
is more powerful. Yeah, you're right.
So that's
you're right.
why I went with that. As much as I like
And
the
I
killer
mean,
whale.
Free Willy.
And I like Tenchi's professionalism that he doesn't go below the waist or above the knees.
It would only be Free Willy if Tenchi were to bend his rules a little bit.
Oh, gosh. The inner thigh.
I think you just get the killer whale on the shaft.
Ooh. All right.
No, Falzarin got the killer whale.
That's right.
Right. My apologies.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Well, you spent 4 hours with Tenchi in
sure
good
did.
company. I think Tenchi is quite a nice fellow, despite Shaft shit talking his prices right in front of him and Falzarin
Poo-pooing.
poo-pooing his entire selection.
Yeah.
Like, he has a limited market, really, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's not getting a lot of action down there at the docks.
He's a bit of a black market dealer, so I mean his prices are going to be higher.
There's a cost to procuring them, that's for sure.
It was some cool flavor how you added in the ingredients that go into the mortar and pestle that he grinds up, and that was cool. Not perhaps the most sanitary way to get a tattoo, but
Yeah, disgusting.
That's also why he could only give one of each tattoo, because you only have the ingredients
right.
for a single
Yes.
tattoo. Otherwise, you could have just got 6 berries all over your body.
I mean, while you guys decided to take 4 hours, I thought maybe... I mean, we kind of poo-pooed it too. Like, we were in the library, and it's like, we should know more than this. And Leland's sitting here like, I told you so much stuff.
That's another note that I took is Elena getting quite obviously annoyed that she wasn't finding out anything.
Ugh.
And I, of course, cut out my annoyed reaction to her annoyance
I
for
mean,
the actual final
I
cut.
appreciate it. Like, at this point, we've been recording together for like a year. We're pretty much like treat each other like family sometimes. We get a little sassy. We record together. It's been a while. As Elena, I get irritated when I want to progress certain storylines or find something and I'm not. And then like you're like, how's the library organized? And it's like, terribly.
No, I'm glad that you were annoyed because I mentioned in I think 71,
Yeah.
like after all this time, it's very clear to the two of your characters that how come we're not finding this information?
There is crap missing. And it's
Yep.
all in the back of the library, where the librarian told Shaft to
It's just
go,
way in
and
the
we
back. You
never
should've
went.
Listen to the librarian. Yeah, she likes the books in the back.
Oh, we'll get to that.
Yeah, let's see how that plays out in future episodes.
Hey, I'm
Maybe.
subscribing for that.
There's minutia we took away from it. That's not to be.
Yes. What did you learn
ignored.
then?
I don't have my notes in front of me.
We learned how to recognize a Kraken lair.
I think that's very
I mean, if we go hunting for a kraken, that's helpful.
right.
We know that the Krakens create deep scions, but apparently this Kraken didn't create the deep scions that were already there because the Kraken wasn't already there, so something else
Correct.
Right.
is creating those deep scions. We don't know what.
Aboleths can as well, and other
Which would mean there's
beings.
an aboleth out there somewhere. That's not a good thing.
That'd be less than ideal.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool to know that, like, as Mia, like, that Falzarin is not misleading us with the trait information. Like, as far as we know, that all checked out. That is important to Shakara as well. Falzarin was not lying
Yes.
to her.
It's very important to Shakara.
Once fully grown, like, the Kraken is intelligent. It can communicate telepathically.
Very intelligent.
Communication telepathically, like, that's pretty important. If they're...
Can it understand languages?
It knows many
And it
languages. Many languages.
It has a disdain for civilization.
Yeah, I think the Kraken has a 24 intelligence or something.
Wow.
Wow. And it says many languages is what I wrote down. But they seek a layer. We can now recognize the signs of a layer. We understand how the deep scions are related. I mean, I didn't find much out about Neogi. That was like a big gap of information.
Right.
Which that actually makes sense since the Nyogi are from a different planet.
Plane, yeah.
No, not plane. Not plane.
Oh, sorry. Not plane. Planet.
It is planet. Yeah.
Okay. I did take away from it that I shouldn't have in my backstory, like a year ago or whatever, let the guy get away. Like, he's obviously just going to cause more destruction and chaos or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely have a better understanding of how the mind control works too. And basically, like, yeah, it is literal enslavement.
Yeah,
is what
like the
they're doing.
tattoo denotes someone that was under the influence. Doesn't mean they're necessarily under the influence right then, which I think I kind of took away from when we played my backstory out as well. Like, I ran into people in bars and stuff. They would have the marking, but they were not, like, gorked or whatever.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
How's a tattoo get on them?
I do not know that.
You go into a bathroom in the
With
back
Tenchi.
of the...
Yeah.
That's typically how
Yeah.
it works, yeah.
The deep scion, I mean, we now know that it's done willingly, so I guess, like, remember the watery death and all that? If someone was not willing, would they just die then?
Yeah. I think I wasn't entirely. I wasn't as clear as I could have been. But when I said it was willing, like, yeah, and I did say in the episode that, like, the entity is basically coming to these people in a moment of death and saying, "I can save you, but you're going to be my bitch now."
Right.
Is pretty
Yeah.
much right. But like, but you will live in service of me now.
It's a death by watery means, but it's a self-preservation of, sure.
Right. It's that individual being like, "I want to live." Yeah. Okay. Yes. Please save me. Basically, and that's what I meant when I said willing. I hope that wasn't confusing. Is it's like someone like seeks out, like, yeah, make me a deep scion. Like, it doesn't happen that way.
The last note I had about the deep scions is that, like, literally their purpose is to infiltrate.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're sort of like an agent now. Mia made a really interesting comment that was brought up a second time as well that I think was a very good thought. I don't know how much validity there is to it, but I think it's a good line of thinking, and that is that Krakens originally were in bondage to these powerful gods or beings that had power over them way back when. and they broke free from that bondage, and you could assume would do anything to prevent or to avoid being in that similar situation again. And now we have a Kraken that's been summoned, and we could assume is likely been summoned by a powerful person or being in order to carry out their whims. So you've probably got a Kraken that's going to be a very intelligent being that has potentially been put into bondage again, which is very much against its nature. Whether we're going to be able to take advantage of that or not is anyone's guess. But I thought that was a good thought.
We will return to your scheduled programming shortly, or we are currently experiencing technical difficulties.
Oh, lovely technical difficulties. So if it sounds jumbled, listener, that is the reason. We just lost a bit of recording. Back into whatever the hell we were talking about. We're talking about Kraken layers. Who knows how much of that is actually still on mic. But Bill brought up the good question of whether or not what was happening with Erica's layer is similar to what was happening with the Kraken layers, because I didn't describe the actual effects detail on mic. And I have them in front of me now. So yes, a Kraken layer, around a Kraken layer, Krakens can also alter the weather through the power of their lair, much like the Infinite Storm around Erica's lair. Sometimes water elementals are prevalent around a Kraken's lair. And any aquatic creature within 6 miles of it, with an intelligence score of 2 or lower, basically obey by the Kraken and defend its lair's area. And I will probably add more effects to that, which I, again, will then, should the party come across it, they'll be like, hey, you know what this is, kind of thing.
I mean, the Infinite Storm right there, that's amazing.
Yeah, definitely an overlap.
But it doesn't control tattoos, though.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, would it control the shark?
Nowhere in that text did it say anything about tattoos.
What's the intelligence of your tattoo?
Well, it's on his back.
So it can't be too intelligent.
Definitely lower.
Gotta have a negative there.
It's a lower than 2 back tattoo. Okay.
Yeah, so there's stuff to know yet.
One last thing that I have written down here before we move on to 71. A couple times. Now, there's a part that I obviously didn't listen to because I had to go off mic for Shakara. Shakara mentioned a couple times great scions. I don't know if that was
noticed that
her misspeaking or if there's something that I don't know about.
That was definitely her misspeaking.
Yeah, I caught that too
okay.
and edited. I'm like, oh, she said great sign. I didn't catch that when we were playing either. It was funny.
Well, it's like you saying Port Randus, Bill. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
I would never.
Stuff it.
Stuff it. And we
Well, I
all
was
say
starting
Shakira,
to-
so whatever.
I was starting to, think of conspiracy theories and the like. So,
You're giving Leland ideas. Stop it.
yeah.
There are so many conspiracies in Aspara. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I think the other question that probably got lost in technical difficulties was, do we have any hunches of what greater being is summoning this Kraken?
No.
That was the ultimate answer, yeah.
Easiest 5 seconds of recording we ever recovered.
But I think last time, before the issue, there was 5 minutes of saying we each have different strings pinging to different people, and if we all could put our heads together, we might...
Yeah.
You had
Erica.
Yeah.
Erica's pulling the strings.
Erica could for sure be pulling strings.
My money's riding on Erica, but
John, you had a good analogy about the puzzle. He's like, John said, I think we got the edges of the puzzle. We just, no idea what's in the middle.
Right.
yeah.
It's a bunch of freaking one color pieces that it's taking forever.
I think we're getting the pieces a little bit here and there, and
We just don't know what the picture looks like.
it's starting to make sense overall.
Yeah.
We just have a lot of different little sub-stories that we're finding, I think, as we go, are intertwined. to some degree, and we don't know how it all links up together. There's nowhere to place your loyalty because none of it sounds good. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no side to be on.
Well, except for Isabella.
No.
I don't think I don't think we definitely do not have enough information to say if we're the good guys or the bad guys kind of thing.
Ooh, that's an interesting
Right.
perspective.
Right? I mean, you can say you're doing, and I think, well, we don't, not yet. I think that gets brought up at some point in time that you don't know. If you think you're doing the right thing, you might find out you're not.
Yeah.
Like Shaft with his brother.
Yeah, you might think you're doing the right thing, but you're actually not.
Oh, man. Man, what if we're not the good guys? Ugh.
Of course we
right.
are.
But I chose a
Have
good
you met
character.
Falzarin?
Yeah,
Have
right.
you met Falzarin? What if there just are no good guys? What if you're just
Could be.
people?
So the last thing that happened in 70 was the end credit scene with Statdorf.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yes.
Oh, I loved it.
He lives.
That was great.
Yeah.
Listener, if
was
you
fun.
did not listen to the end credits, listen to the end credits.
And that's not the first time we've had an end credit, just in case you've been missing them. You got to listen through.
So this is a different island, right?
Yeah, who knows where they are?
I mean, we know how they're wiping, but we don't know where they are.
They didn't describe the leaves and what they look like, and so we
No.
know what island it is.
I mean, it could be poison ivy.
That's Shipwreck
Don't wipe with
101. If you're
poison
putting a
ivy.
message out there, you got to describe your surroundings. Like, come on, Statdorf.
Oh, it was beautiful.
All right, so let's move on to 71. 71 opened up with a fan favorite, Horik, returning.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
What the
Many
heck
things were
did you
said.
say?
Very
No
few things
one
were
knows
understood.
what he said.
Now, does anybody have a theory about what he says?
I mean,
I've got no
I didn't
idea.
even try to
I put it
understand
on speaker at work, and I listened to it 3 times with another person, and neither one of us had a freaking clue.
I mean, not even through context.
Nope. I mean, the other person listening had no idea, but
That's my favorite part about Horik, is that you can't understand a word he says.
he said
love
"we"
it.
at one point, which was kind of Scottish, right? He said "we" something.
You got we out of all that.
Yeah.
I did better than that, but when we recorded it, I stopped for a second, and then I just could not laugh, and I go, I have no idea what the hell you just said. So.
Well, I will say this recording was a lot less bulleted. I think we described the first one as it was way much more off the cuff, and more along the lines of us just playing like we normally do for the show. Horik was just annoyed, like they've been out, like in the opening
I got
narration,
that.
they've been out there for months looking for signs of Danzig. And he basically said, like, what are we still doing out here, Chef? Like, you just don't know when to quit. Like, what are we still doing?
Yeah.
Is that what he said, though?
Yeah, that is what he said.
Say it again.
Yeah.
Let me hear this. I need to verify.
What are we doing out here? Or I don't know what we're still doing out here. You don't know when to quit.
No, I don't understand you unless you speak Horik. Hold on. Say
Oh, I don't have it in front of me. I can't do that. I just see that's the problem. I painted myself in a hole here. I can't do that without writing out his line, like literally, phonetically writing out what I need to say because I can't.
That's awesome. That's dedication to your craft right there.
I really question what that phonetic looks like. Like,
I mean, I think the intention, the emotion of that scene was to be that Shaft and Horik are having a bit of a rift, right, between them. I don't know if that came across completely,
Yeah.
but they're definitely frustrated with each other, and their friendship is very strained.
Right.
Yeah.
Even if you don't understand what he's saying, that's the emotion
Yeah.
I wanted.
Yeah. Yeah, he's had enough of this goose chase that you're on.
Yeah. So I think we already talked about this a little bit at the beginning of the episode, but yeah, the idea really was, and I think it came across to sort of show Shaft doesn't have much to live for at this point, and
Right.
sort of the creation story of who he was to who he is becoming.
Right.
We're introduced to a new NPC.
Absolutely one of my new
Oh
favorites.
yeah,
Killian.
Killian Van Coren.
Killian's pretty cool.
And we learn how Shaft got his name, which is via Killian.
That's right.
Killian. But how did you end up with a brother named Rod then?
He's one of my other brothers. Yeah. It doesn't all have to make sense.
Okay, all right, fine.
It's a cosmic coincidence, Elena. It was meant to be. Shaft Tobias was put on this path and has led him to where we now are in the present with him because it was fated to be so. I mean, Mia certainly would definitely feel a kinship with that.
You say cosmic and I say Neogi. Cosmic, Neogi, cosmic, Neogi.
Oh.
Did you know that John Wayne was called the Duke because that was the name of the family's dog?
I did not.
You know what? It's so funny now. My whole YouTube feed is littered with John Wayne Westerns coming up, recommending to me now. Whenever I watch one Western with John Wayne, now all I see on my YouTube.
You've screwed your algorithm now.
There's a lot of like free Westerns up on YouTube.
So yeah, I'm sure that Hork isn't actually dead. It just appeared that way because otherwise I will be furious.
Well, there's been in-game confirmation that Hork, as at least when Falzarin and Shaft met, what was his face? Gozer's enemy. Oh my god, Clash.
Clash?
Wow. Yeah, Clash
Yes, I was trying
confirmed
to think
at
of it
least
too.
then. And so Clash, I don't know how many days ago that was in game time, but confirmed that Hork was alive and fighting the Neogi.
Yeah.
Oh, did he?
Part of
Okay.
the orc resistance fighting the
Shaft
Neogi.
was about to kill him, right? I think I was about ready, and he said something about Horik, and I said, "Well, hold on a second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Horik's alive, or something
That's
to that
right.
effect."
Yeah.
Wow, that was when Gozer was still alive. That was ages ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Shaft gets captured by the Rockshod. Is that right?
He got captured by orcs that were not sporting any type of tribal.
No
Colors
colors,
or
no
anything.
tribal colors. Well, the Gorloks and the Rockshod were fighting each other.
Yep.
But when he was captured, there was no color identified. No,
Right.
yeah.
Hmm.
There was a lot of him getting knocked out, waking back up, getting knocked out again.
But he gets
Him
back up
saying-
again.
Yeah, and he's like, I got nothing to live for. And they're like, "Pfft."
Never going to keep him down.
And then he spits on the. That was great. I love that.
Oh, yeah. Spits
Shaft
his blood
spitting
out.
on the orcs.
It's hard to get an orc to kill you. I'll say that, especially not until you're marinated correctly.
Gozer would have killed you.
What were you thinking there? Like trying to get him to kill Shaft. I mean, I guess
Shaft
obviously
lost what he
you
cared
know
about.
that Shaft doesn't die there, but
Yeah, Shaft was good with being killed,
right.
and there was no point in waiting around. Really, I mean, I think I said something to the effect of he has, nothing to go back to his hometown for. I mean, they've shunned him due to his relationship with his brother, right? He's really not welcome back in town. Nina's gone. Now Horik is most likely dead, and he has nowhere to go, and nothing left.
The question becomes, who is Killian, this human sharpshooter, and why does he care? What is his goal? How did he get to where he was? How did he see you? Like, there's just a million questions about Killian.
Is Killian even still alive? I mean, who knows? This was a point in
Who
time
is he?
in which
Where
we
is he?
looked
What
at.
happened? Yeah.
I drew the conclusion that Killian is how Shaft got introduced to Detmer. So I would assume Killian has some maybe does jobs for Detmer, but that wasn't explicitly said.
He's obviously a skilled shooter, man.
Because Killian said something to the effect of, if you want to come with me, I might have some use for you back in
Drew Call.
Yeah.
Drukal, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is where Detmer is.
Kumquat.
Yeah.
Kumquatted.
Kumquat.
Yeah, the passphrase.
Well, that was just another little snippet, and there's more to come.
I mean, is Killian where Chucky is? Maybe. We don't know.
Ooh.
We also flirted with the not safe for work tag on one of the non after party episodes with some bleeps there. We had a bleep from Shaft and a bleep
Dude,
from Killian.
Shaft always bleeps.
F them all.
Killian's bleep was really long too, because it's drawn like, wow, this is the longest bleep I've ever had to put in here. I think it was like a second worth of a fuck.
That's right. We did have a brief conversation about that, and I said, I think I'm going to say it. Should I say it? You go, fuck it, say it. I'll bleep it out.
Of course, Leland's going to say it.
Yeah, I knew I knew I had the go ahead before I asked the question.
I have contemplated not bothering bleeping it out for, narrative effect.
I think the bleep adds.
I think it's funny.
Yeah,
I
agree.
think it's funny.
So, yeah, that's pretty much, that's it for the backstory to this point.
I mean, that's all that really happened. And that was the most important part of 71 was Killian. And another iconic Leland
And the
voice.
nickname, Shaft.
I wish you could see Emily's face right now.
What, the coloring books weren't the most important part? The fact that the library doesn't have coloring books?
How could they not have coloring books?
Adult coloring books. You are an adult Dragonborn, as we've
Exactly.
discussed. I mean, we did get a question asking, how offended is Falsey feeling about Shakara and Mia clearly finding his beloved library inferior and useless?
What a stupid library.
Organized in the worst of ways.
The library is organized perfectly.
Nope.
Yeah. This was what was
Alphabetical by subject, not
this
by
was
author.
what was frustrating about that scene, and I think where some of the frustration that made it into the episode from Elena and that I tactfully cut out from my end came through is that, like,
you were in the wrong.
I mean, no, like, you know what I mean? Like, walking into this library, it's not like a building full of thousands and thousands of encyclopedias. And I think that's a bit of a disconnect when you're thinking of, like when I think of tomes in a fantasy game, I think of, like, literally like the supplement Volo's Guide to Monsters. Like, it's literally like someone's, like, journal and anecdotes of what they've witnessed rather than definitions like you would look in an encyclopedia and that kind of stuff, which is also why I mean, like, a lot of things in D&D also have varying different names in which you won't find all the information regarding one of those names in a single book either. So that's, I think I have, and of course I have that picture in my head that I didn't really put out there in paint for.
Well, I mean, way to think about it realistically and logically. Whereas...
Well, no, I totally got what you're saying, Leland, and I was picturing more like the Game of Thrones Old Town library with just stacks and rolls and really sort of loosely organized as best they could, but it's not really like it's like you're saying, it's not a dictionary, it's not an encyclopedia, it's not a modern day library.
There's no Dewey Decimal System,
right? But Shakara
likes plans.
Dewey wasn't around then.
Shakara was still very frustrated with 4 hours looking through books and not finding basically the two pieces of information that she wanted.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that totally makes sense.
I mean, I think in character.
But Mia wasn't getting upset. Elena was getting upset.
Elena was getting upset. I think Mia in general would, let's say, search the planar section. The name Nyogi's nowhere. Descriptions aren't ringing any bells. Like, she'd be like, screw this. I could find out more in the next, an adventure of the world again for another 6 months. Dissect something myself. She would almost rather get her hands dirty and take the clock apart and see all the pieces instead of, like, search. I said it several times. Mia does love books. But
Just coloring books, like Shakara.
Yeah. No.
Right.
I think that, like...
Shakara's more go out and beat it up than, or protect it or whatever, than sit in the library on his chair for 4 hours and not move while looking through book after book after book after book after book after book after book.
Yeah, and I think that Mia's exposure to books would have been different. It would have been... She would have grown up with a different type of book, maybe more religious texts or, like, biographies, you know what I mean? Compared to, like, how this is all just so different to her. So she was... Elena was frustrated. I'm going to play it off as Mia was frustrated.
See, Shaft knows the first thing you do when you go into a library is get to know the librarian well. She'll help you find anything you want.
She'll tell us where to go, and then we won't go there.
You like your books in the back, huh?
Yeah. Well,
Pretty sure that was
she'll help you
more
find what you
Leland
want.
flirting with John than the librarian telling us to look at the books in the back.
Did you think the librarian was flirting? Because the librarian was
set a book on that
clueless of what was
booty.
going on.
I take
John
my books
flirting with
wherever I
Leland.
can get them, is what
Look,
the librarian
she's from
said.
Heracleon, so she's gonna have that same that Falzarin did when we first met him. You know, I had no idea when flirting was going on.
Yeah,
I'm
maybe.
going to go against the grain and disagree with you guys. Because Shaft said, "You like your books in the back, huh?" To which she replied, "I take my books wherever I can get them."
Because, like Mia, she likes books.
If that's not flirting, I don't know what is. Okay.
But it was in the
we will
delivery.
continue to get into situations to make John and Leland flirt. It's gonna happen.
I was not flirting.
And if it's not John and Leland, it's going to be Bill and Leland.
There has been a year gone by and nothing has changed in that aspect of the role play. And I think that if Shakara and Mia are gonna flirt with anyone, it might be with each other. A little of that.
High
Sign
five.
me up for that.
Yeah, that's how we'll get some more download numbers.
Oh, there you go.
Start promoting.
Move over, Critical Role.
This episode is really popular. I don't know.
So,
going on?
John, was there any bit of your solo that you wanted to share with the other players?
I mean, I think we can guess what happened. He hid Danzig somewhere, or did something with Danzig's body.
I don't think you should say that. I think you're saying that based on other information you have, not at this point in time in the episode.
You were by yourself. You made us leave him alone. I'm saying, let's forget what I already know. I would think you're doing something.
I'll argue what you still think you
or
know.
scrying again, or whatever. Something where you whenever you want a place of ill repute, you're really going off, sneaking off, doing something. And that's what I know. I don't think Mia knows that.
I don't think you guys, in character, you didn't have any reason not to let me sit at the bar and have some
Dude,
drinks,
Mia
so.
doesn't suspect anything, for sure. Yeah.
Right. So you think, as Elena, you think I went back and took and hid Danzig's body.
Yeah.
Anything else? Did I do anything else?
Got drunk?
Maybe tried to get some more information out of people, or ask about the mechanic stuff that we saw in the port there. Deep scions or the machines, whatever. I don't know. You're a talkative guy.
Can't say it. Nothing?
Huh?
She said
What
something
did you
about
say? What did you say,
scion.
Emily?
Not something that I can't say yet.
What?
About an episode that hasn't aired yet. So I stopped myself, and now you guys are calling attention to it.
Right. That's, once again, another problem, is we've got a lot of things recorded after this after party, and it's hard to know where those, that there's future
Again,
information
you could
that
have
we
gone back to Grimby and said, hey, let's strike up a deal. Let's make money doing this and that. Because I think, like, we kind of got into it. I think you and Falzarin, the word friend is interesting. I think that you make friends, quote unquote, when there's something you can gain from it. So you're going around saying, hey, maybe you went to the tattoo artist. Hey, I can get you some more ingredients if you want to keep this business up, but I want 10% of the cut. Whatever, right? Like,
Do you think Shaft is only going to give the shaft? Is that who he is now?
not to Mia. Shaft's not Shaft to Mia, so.
I think what we've learned about Shaft after this backstory session with Horik and Killian is that Shaft is the way that he is, partly because it's not necessarily just that he's self-serving, but I think he has reservations about forming new relationships because he's worried about loss that might come from it because he's lost so much already. It's not so much that he's self-centered and only cares about himself and is a backstabber and uses and abuses people. I think it's more that he's got a lot of wounds and he's worried about any new people that he becomes attached to losing them as well.
And he's selfish and a backstabber and
Well, like you put yourself out there, you can get hurt. And if you
Yeah.
want to protect yourself from getting
Right.
hurt, you don't put yourself out there.
I think that's part of that's another layer that I hadn't.
But I
that
don't
I
think
hadn't
Mia
thought of.
thinks he's sneaky at all. I don't think Mia suspects him for quite a little bit. We'll see when it starts happening.
And I think he intentionally, after the situation with, Gozer and with Bryn, that I think he's trying very hard, and I think I've brought this up many times before, to, not give you guys a reason to distrust him. And Falzarin, I think we've just got this sort of kinship now because he's been betrayed so much by everybody that I think maybe Shaft has a little bit of a softness for Falzarin now to sort of bring him into the fray and go, hey, you're just like me.
Yeah, and I think Falzarin's also a little bit desperate for who does he have left? He's got nobody.
Yeah.
And he feels like he's thrust into this just overwhelming situation with all this crap, falling to pieces around him.
I think Shaft is becoming Falzarin's Killian.
There you go.
Yeah.
I know a guy.
Maybe a little bit.
Interesting.
I know a guy.
Interesting. No, other than that, I don't really want to talk about anything that happened yet. I think it will start. It's puzzle pieces that will come together for everybody as we go.
Yeah. I'm eager for when we'll be able to go back and listen to it.
Yeah, I want to go back and listen to some of the old Gozer stuff and Bryn stuff, and I just haven't went back and done that yet.
So next in 71, we have some more library time, right? We meet up back at the library.
Yeah, not much though. Finally, they get Shakara and Mia get information on the Tritons. Falsey, you looked into necromancy, which was a smart idea. I think Emily had mentioned that even in the episode. Didn't find anything that resembled or mentioned this black goo that resurrects.
like we
things.
tried at least.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
I did think that Falzarin was looking in to find out more about what could be going on with Danzig, not so much what happened with the black goo. But he didn't mention that. But when you said necromancy, the first thing I thought was maybe he's trying to figure out how to help Shaft save his brother.
See, I hadn't thought that Danzig was dead. I was more thinking that he's transforming. Still, he began this process as the living Danzig and is being changed into something else without actually having died at any point. But
I agree with Bill.
Interesting thought.
But, like we said with the Scions, right, they're actually die. And, there's all kinds of magic in the world of Aspara. And, even if you think about it, someone transforming you think automatically maybe a cleric can heal this or change this curse of some kind. But there are ways in the realms of magic that you can also do things. Wizards and great magic users that could also have ways of getting rid of curses and things like that too. So, I think Shaft might have thinking here he is in the the Isle of Magic. If there's any place that might be able to counteract what Surma's done, maybe it's here in Heracleon.
I think that's a very reasonable thought. Yeah.
So that's why I thought Falzarin might be trying to do, is why I
Well,
brought
he
it
didn't
up.
kick us off mic, so we know that's not what he was trying to do.
I can't remember what I was on mic for and what I wasn't. I skipped all the library stuff this morning when I listened to the episode. I don't think I listened. I think we were kicked off mic when you guys did that.
No.
Just for a little bit. Just for a little bit when I was looking for something specific.
Yeah.
There was one part with Shakara, where I was like, I don't remember this. Then I was like, oh, right, there was a time.
The librarian and I went behind the desk, had a little private time.
And they like their books in the
boy.
back.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's a bonus episode I want to hear.
After credits, no.
Now, I think, Leland, you touched on this a little bit, and we can just touch on it for a second, but I think you made a comment or two within the episode, and you've made it off mic at least once or twice, I think, about how it seems like there seems to be a lack of information within this library, and
Yes.
and it came up a little bit with whether Falzarin's offended by the fact that you feel like you're not finding any information there, but I think the thought is it a bit suspicious that there seems to be information omitted, perhaps, from the collection in the library here?
The answer is yes. Yes, it is.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that we know that for sure, but it seems like that might be the case.
Well, it's nothing that Falzarin is unaccustomed to, for sure. It's not like
Yes.
it's not like this brief time that Falzarin was in there, like he didn't find something specific that he has found in the past, then finding it no longer there. So it wasn't anything like that.
Right.
There was just this world renowned source of knowledge is not as complete as it's touted to be, I think, is what Shakara and me are under the impression of.
Do you think it could be like a situation where he was just so compromised because he grew up around it and he was accustomed to the way it was, where Shakara and I come in and we're like, where's this? This seems odd that this would be missing. And then he's like, oh yeah, you're right. Like the naivety, the curtain's kind of not over his eyes anymore.
Yeah. And I think this has been mentioned before as well, but part of, and this is recent, that Falzarin has decided to leave Heracleon within the past, 2 weeks or so in game time, but
It's like a month, I think.
okay. Yeah, he feels like there's nothing more to be learned here. And that's maybe partly intentional that there's nothing more to be learned in Heracleon, because they have their topics that are okay and sanctioned to be studied and learned, and then there's perhaps the things that exist that you won't find information about in the library there.
So, I mean, that pretty much wraps up what happened, right? We go back, we end the night, I think, at your place, right? Is that where it ends?
Yes.
And, not much to really be said about your humble abode, but, you got some cots, and you obviously throw some parties there, had a good time. But,
Ragers.
That's right. So, that ended the set of 3, so...
Mike Caldwell sent an email into us. He said he may not have understood every word that Horak said, but he was surprised when Leland went through the transcript because he understood the context for every line he had. He did think it was funny that John didn't understand him while playing it and just rolled with it at times.
Thank you, Mike. See, you all should be more like Mike.
I think your ego's big enough as it is.
It's big enough where it would probably take all 4 of you to stroke it. Yes, that's true.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
He had a question specifically for me, which I will not answer for the 4 of you, or 3 of you. One of you knows. And then he had a question for all 4 of us.
Who could that be?
John, I tell him everything.
Oh, I knew it.
He wanted to know if we go over our character sheets and what our characters can do and their powers and feats and everything before we play, if we read over everything that is in our possession and all that stuff.
I can't think of what would have sparked a question like that.
Wand of Secrets?
Try to.
That's an area for improvement for sure.
Yeah, it's harder when you start with a 6th level character trying to remember, especially one that you've not played before.
Well, thank you for that.
Elena and she's never played a cleric and I never played a paladin, so both of us have forgotten our abilities.
Major things, like death saving throws, and I guess mine was Radiant Soul, it was like several rounds, but yeah.
You did remember eventually.
Yeah. I said I need to remember and then didn't remember.
Yeah, it's hard. It's a lot to know. And I do try to read it, but I don't always.
I can't imagine because I still struggle with Falsey, and he's been my only character for this entire time.
As far as I know, Falzern has 4 spells.
Basically, yeah.
Flaming Sphere. Flaming Sphere is often.
Flaming Sphere, Fireball, Fog Cloud, and now Lehman's Tiny Hut. Those are the only 4 fucking spells I've ever seen you cast. Like, is your spell book full of empty pages, or what the hell's going on?
Oh, no, he does use Shield. He uses Shield.
Oh, yes, that's right.
And he has used Mage
I like
Armor
to use
lately.
Shatter when we're trying to be stealthy.
Shatter is like, yes, at the worst point.
Yeah. And when there's areas around us that have potential to collapse on us.
Mike does
So,
say
Mike, answer is no.
he loves the show and looks forward to every episode. We're on the top of his playlist.
Oh,
And-
thank you, Mike.
He liked Elena's suggestion of having a March Madness super schedule.
Well,
He knows it'll
lucky
be a lot of
you.
hard work, but he's excited for things that are upcoming.
You're in luck, buddy.
You are in
Ooh,
luck
this-
because when this episode drops on March 16th will be the beginning of the
Add
Incorrigible
the drum
Party
roll.
March
Add the sound
Madness
effect.
2020.
Pretend there's a drum roll.
And with global events going on, the actual March Madness is unfortunately canceled, but you can tune in for hours. We will be releasing, it actually only amounts to 2 extra releases.
Fill out your brackets. Who would win? Falzern versus Mia.
There you
Shakara
go.
versus Shaft.
That's right.
We're in the final 4.
The next 2 weeks we'll have 3 releases each week instead of just the normal 2. Because we love you so much,
Yay.
listener.
Oh, so exciting. There's so much good stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome to be able to really get into some interesting stuff that happens over the next handful of episodes.
We were very much on board with it because we had to do nothing and Leland has to
course.
do more editing.
Well, actually, in our next batch of episodes, we do have another NPC guest. So that was a good time. Emma of the Pointless Parrot podcast.
I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, we love
Yes,
Emma. It's not
Emma's
because of
delightful.
yeah. I can't say enough about how Emma did such a great job.
that.
She
It's an
killed it.
NPC like we've
And,
never seen before, that's for sure.
Well, and we've also never had one on for 3 episodes as well.
The most dramatic NPC experience ever.
It was great. I loved it.
Not to be beat.
Yeah, it is a good one.
Emily is
I'm looking
smiling
forward
really
to it.
big. She really is.
We're gonna have a good after party
Oh,
next
my
time. We'll just say
gosh.
that.
Oh, March Madness, you guys. Get excited.
It's going to be great.
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait.
Which also leads into the last few weeks of March leads right up to April 1st.
Your
which is-
birthday!
Oh.
I don't. It's not. Actually, I didn't
Both
care.
of
It was my
those.
birthday, but it's also
Podcast birthday!
our 1-year anniversary.
1 year anniversary.
That's right.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
Love you guys.
I love you guys.
And to coincide with our 1 year, we have all decided and agreed, after much debate and back and forth amongst the 5 of us and discussions, to launch a Patreon page on April 1. Just going to be fairly simple, just 3 tiers. Really what we want to do is be able to play more, to give you more content. Our first couple of goals are going to be that, more content as in longer form, longer than a one shot, more as if like a mini campaign stuff. Hopefully we can be able to squeeze in once we hit that goal. Bonus after parties as well. And of course down the line, should we meet them, to upgrade some of our equipment, like editing software, laptops, that kind of thing. The usual stuff, really.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things we've struggled with talking about over the year. But I think now that we've met a year and we've put out 70, what was the last episode? 70.
71 was the last episode, but 23 after parties. So I mean, that's.
I think we hit 100 releases this past week.
Last episode, session 71 was episode 101.
Wow.
Yeah.
All included.
That's crazy.
Wow.
So,
you guys.
I think as this experiment that we had started last year, just wanting to get together and play and have a good time, and here we are going a year later, and I think we're all having a blast and doing it, and it seems to be just getting better and better, and so we want to make it better and better, and I think a little bit of extra money to be able to help get some of that equipment and keep the show going is it makes sense at this point.
If you are voluntarily, not under duress, listening to 100+ hours of our content, we want to give you more.
Well, and one of our main goals that we want is if we hit it, we get to replace Elena, and that's truly the one that we want to get to.
You're like, please.
I mean, we did set the goal at $30.
It's like a Make-A-Wish. Oh man.
Don't worry, honey, you're irreplaceable.
Oh.
Yeah.
Unlike Bryn.
I mean, I thought Bryn was irreplaceable, but things happen.
Well, I've heard that some people much prefer Mia over Bryn, but
I mean,
I still feel bad about
too.
Falsey's last words said to Bryn were a bit, nasty.
You selfish hoe. What did you say?
I mean, I'm not sure that's exactly what it was.
And I was like, I saved your life. Passed out, died.
Yeah, Falzern was mad because Bryn stormed into the room with him in tow.
Mean, some people liked Bryn, so I mean, people like me, Leland, get over it.
I liked Bryn.
People like your characters.
Oh, God. So you're going to draw the line there. You're going to say Matthew Jude said Bryn was his favorite, not Elena? That's where you're going to draw the line?
If that's a testament to poor taste, then Jude liking your character says it all, I tell you.
He did say Bryn, but I mean, I'll replace Kiki on the podcast. It's fine. You don't have to beg me. This game is broken, could use me. I know nothing about board games. I'd be the curveball. If there's ever a game I've heard of, there you go. Instant win for my team.
Oh, that's funny. Well, the last thing we had was our third giveaway that we've been talking about forever.
Yeah, so I think a good time to have that coincide with is our 1-year anniversary as well. I'm really excited about this giveaway. It's going to be, I don't know if anyone's taken a peek at John's social media, or now you can take a peek at our website. There's pictures up on there as well. John's been working hard on updating the website over these past couple weeks. But you're going to have an opportunity to win a mini of your choosing within reason, and have John do a custom paint job for you. So I think that's going to be awesome. Really excited for someone to win that. I may or may not be entering myself into the competition as well.
Wish.
I think you're disqualified.
Bill wants a beholder so bad.
Oh man. Okay.
I'll paint you a beholder, Bill. It's not going to be cheap.
Free.
I've seen John's minis in person, and they are exquisitely impressive. So whoever wins it is going to be a very, very lucky person.
All right. Thanks.
Get one while he's still got his eyesight,
Oh,
He's turning 50. He's turning
going
50
quick.
on April 1st, you guys. This is the big one.
That's right.
I mean, that's worth mentioning
This
as
is
well.
your only hope.
Feel free to bombard John.
Please
on April
wish him a
1st.
happy birthday. Yes.
Yes.
I don't
And
know.
everyone, tell everyone you know to download our episode, as an April Fool's joke. Just, say, hey, want to play a funny joke? Let's download Incorrigible Party's episode. And then,
All of them. All of the episodes.
All of them. The
be
whole
all
back
right.
catalog.
Oh, that'd be a great birthday
It'd
present.
be the best Fool's Day ever.
Yeah, I want the episode that's released on my birthday. We haven't one on my birthday. Will it, if we release one on our 1-year anniversary, if you make that the most downloaded episode, tell all your friends to download
The
it. They don't have
first
to
is
listen
a
to
Wednesday,
it. Just download
but
it. And
we can we can figure it out.
there you go.
Well, we may need to extend our March Madness on behalf of John's fucking birthday now. So a release falls on the Wednesday.
He thinks he's so special.
Pay into our Patreon and we can replace him with a younger model.
Oh, wait.
You'll
I'm
be
liking
gone
the
long
sound of
before I
this.
am, though. Oh, boy.
Wow. So that'll be just usual social media stuff to gain entries. And actually, our first tier, one of the things on the Patreon page will be automatic entries into all of our future contests as well.
Yeah. So that I'm excited about that. You know, if you like us enough and you feel like it's worth throwing us a little bit of change each month, you're automatically entered into into the mini giveaway, the painted mini giveaway, and any future giveaways. And that stacks with, you can still enter via the normal ways, but it'll be another entry for you. Stay tuned for, I think we're talking about doing some bonus entries for listeners. So, in previous contests, we had the King Gozer entry that you could email us or tweet at us or what have you with King Gozer. That got you an entry. I think we're going to do something like that again, to be determined, but stay tuned.
Yeah, we'll mention that in our next after party, which I think comes out on March 25th. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. Cool.
Yeah. Oh, man, I'm excited. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Boy, oh boy. I need a coronavirus quarantine right now to get through this March Madness, I tell you.
Just
Stay home from work and listen to us. Download the back catalog. Do it.
I mean, you really went to a lot of extremes just to get that coronavirus started so you could get some time off work, Leland.
So you could get out of coming to meet us in person and flying internationally.
Yeah, it's going viral.
Oh no, that's the wrong kind of viral.
Oh, what a mess.
So before we end, I did have one other thing from the episode that I did talk about was the very quiet and only the very astute listener would hear when you go down into the back room to get a tattoo. You will hear the Great White North very quietly as the bell to let you down in. What was the bartender's name?
Hef.
A.
Hef A, the Canadian bartender whose call is the
Signal.
Doug and Bob McKenzie.
Okay, I heard that, but I didn't know what it was.
Same here.
That's the bell. That's the little bell that
SCTV.
Hef hits from behind the bar, and
it does it twice.
Yeah.
I need to re-listen to that.
And
I
if
definitely heard it, but I didn't catch. I don't know that reference.
it is very faint. Well,
And you're Canadian. Good
you're
job,
not.
bud.
I guess you're not the
just
demographic
lost
I
my
was shooting for with
citizenship,
that.
apparently.
It's for the
It's
Gen
for the
Xers.
50s.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
I didn't
I
get
like
it.
these little Easter eggs, though. That's fun.
You know what? While we're on the topic of one
Can
more
we get
thing,
my
Jake-
ASMR in one of the episodes?
No, we can't. I really liked the music that you had for that little shop scene. It was very whimsical, and I don't know if you've ever used that music before.
No, I
but
haven't.
It was
It
cool.
was new.
I
Yeah.
wasn't sure if it really fit because, like, it was kind of like tentatively you're going into this weird, grimy back staircase under this bathroom. But no, it's Tenchi. Ah, come, see my
It was
wares.
magical. I mean, it took you away from the, like, badger needles. Like, it could have been really intense.
It was cool.
Oh,
All right,
man.
I think we wrap it up now. We're at almost 2 hours. This is a fantastically long.
Yeah, but you
after
know,
party,
shortened
but-
with Elena's screw up again with her audio. So
Just cut out my audio. It's fine. Replace me. Oh,
Yeah, that is. Yeah. All
no
right.
comment. Oh, wow. I'm going to actually, like, be laying in bed tonight like, John just really hesitated.
We've been talking about it on the Discord channel you're not involved in.
Our private Discord.
I'm not
All
crying.
right,
You're crying.
I've been Shaft and John. Hush up, we're doing the end. I've been Shaft and John.
I've been Shakara and Emily.
I'm Elena, the replaceable one, and I play Mia.
I'm Bill and Falzarin.
And I'm Leland Steele. Happy motherfucking adventuring.
Leap.
Wash your hands.
20 seconds. For at least 20 seconds.
Hello, Lelanders. Your favorite IP member, Leland Steele here. I just wanted to pop in after the after party to relay a few sentiments on behalf of the five of us. It's quite apparent to all of us, all five of the IP here, that amidst this trying and very serious COVID-19 pandemic, that launching a Patreon page seems like poor timing. Many of us are on the precipice of or are already being impacted mentally, physically, and financially right now. I mean, for me, the last week, it felt like it took a whole bloody month to go by. Just staying dialed into the 24/7 news cycle coverage, worrying about my own aging family members and their current non-coronavirus related health concerns. And I have no doubt that the many coming weeks will feel the exact same way. In the face of all this, the vast majority of things, they become comparatively very trivial. But I think that triviality becomes an important reprieve. The five of us are incredibly thankful to be able to share something with you all that we sincerely hope offers you a break from some of these harsher realities that we're all facing right now. It wasn't clearly stated in today's after party, so I did want to clarify a few things about the Patreon. All things Aspara will never be put behind any type of paywall or bullshit hoop for you to jump through. You'll always get every bit of our main campaign, including any after party discussions that pertain to it. And we'll still be putting out one-shots on the main feed. We do actually have one in the works. Hopefully we'll get a chance to record it sometime in April and released very soon after. And that's kind of really all I have, listener. Just please look after yourselves and your families. Practice your social distancing. Practice your proper hygiene. And despite how unapproachable I may come off sometimes, please do not hesitate to reach out if you need a friendly chat about anything. We truly do love and appreciate all of you that consistently listen to our show. It's often bewildering at times. I think we all feel that way. So just happy and safe adventuring.